Good morning, my dear students, and a very warm welcome to all of you in this e-learning program. Welcome to Science by Harsha ma'am. Now, friends, in our today's session, we are going to move further in the lesson, which is improvement in food resources. If we talk about this lesson, that is improvement in food resources, we have already talked about food, the things, the materials that we are obtaining from food, and in detail, we have discussed about the food. In today's lesson, we are going to move further with this lesson, as you already know, which is improvement in food resources. Now, let us move further in the further topic, which is organic farming. You already know some base about the organic farming. Cultivation of land without conserving land, soil, fertility, soil structure will lead to the development of deserts. Ultimately, the land will become barren. Excessive and indiscriminate use of pesticides, fungicides, and herbicides, as is done in the present day, can lead to major problem. So, what kind of problems will be there? There will be changes in the biological balance. That is, the population of soil organism will be affected. The number of organisms that were beforehand will be reduced, and ultimately it will be a problem for the soil. There will be increase in the occurrence of cancer and other disease. Contamination of water and eutrophication will be there. We have already discussed about eutrophication. Eutrophication means there will be excessive growth of algae, and ultimately it will decrease the amount of dissolved oxygen in it, and no sunlight would be able to reach in that particular portion, and ultimately the organisms may die. There are some of the problems due to the adoption of improved agriculture practice in order to increase food production for ever increasing human population. Scientists are greatly concerned about these problems, and attempts have been made to develop the alternatives to chemical agriculture. The alternatives consist of adopting green or eco-friendly technologies or ecological farming or organic farming. Now, what is organic farming? Organic farming is the farming in which chemical fertilizer, herbicides, pesticides are minimally used. That means बहुत ही कम proportion में उनको use किया जाता है, or they are not used at all. Okay, that means avoiding the use of chemical fertilizers, pesticides, or herbicides. Instead of manures, recycled farm waste and biofertilizers are used in place of chemical fertilizers. Neem leaves or turmeric, they are used as biopesticides, specifically in storing the food grains. That is again a major problem, that is storing the food grains. The next particular part is the advantages of organic farming. The natural ecosystem is not disturbed, as organic farming is in harmony with the natural ecosystem. Soil fertility is preserved. Harmful effects of chemicals on the living organisms are avoided. Pollution of air, water, and soil does not take place. The basic objective of cropping is to achieve insurance against total crop failure under poor rainfall conditions and thereby minimizing the risk and the monetary losses. Moving on, the further part, which is irrigation. What is irrigation? Supply of water in the adequate amount, what it is called as irrigation. The process of supplying water to crop plants growing in the fields by the means of canals, reservoirs, wells, tube wells, etc. is known as irrigation. Water requirements or irrigation of crop plants depends on two factors. First one is crop-based irrigation. Water requirement of different crop plants varies at different stages of their growth and maturation. For example, paddy crop is transplanted by standing water and also requires continuous water. Next, soil based irrigation. Irrigation also depends on the nature of the soil in which crop is grown. For example, if two wheat crops are grown together, one in sandy and another in clay, sandy will then the sandy in sandy more irrigation is needed as compared to clay soil. It depends on the soil texture. That is how much proportion of water is needed by it. Then you're having about the irrigation system. The very first one is canal system. You already know about it. It is used for receiving water from rivers. The canal, from the canal it is sent to the branch canal, and from there it is sent to the field channels. And then irrigate individual fields or a group of fields. Rotation system called water bandi or intermittent water delivery method is followed in this system. Then you are having tanks. What will they do? They'll store water. Whenever needed, it can be used. So tanks are usually small water storage reservoir which are constructed at high elevations in high area. They intercept and store the runoff water of small catchment areas. Then we have about the wells. Wells are dug and constructed where groundwater is exploitable, means you can use it, and they are of two types. Either we are having dug well or we are having tube well. Uh, Tube well means boring and dug well means जो कुआं आप generally देखते हैं. Here in which dug well is the well in which water is collected from water bearing strata, that is the bottom below the ground water table, and in this wells water from the lower strata continuously accumulates. Water from these wells is usually lifted for irrigation purpose by mechanical means such as bullock operated devices. Next we are having tube wells. They are the they are dug in the deeper strata much below the ground. बहुत ही आपको पता है बोरिंग मिनिमम जो उसकी रिक्वायरमेंट होती है उतने फीट डिग करते हैं, and then we can collect water from there. Deep bore tube wells can supply water continuously. Water from the tube well is pumped directly by using electrical pumps or diesel pumps. Next is river lift system. This you have studied in your class 8. From the river, directly from the river, the water is lifted through the motors and then it is sent to the fields. River lift system, it is used in the area where either canal flow is insufficient or irregular. In this system, water is directly drawn from the river and then it is sent. Okay. Sprinkler irrigation system. This system you might have already seen over here in the Aksharvadi. We are having the sprinkle irrigation system. If water, it is water efficient system and is being introduced in the canal areas of Haryana, Rajasthan, as well as Madhya Pradesh. A device having performed ring or small stand with a revolving nozzle to which a base is attached for watering crop plants, and it will spread uniformly to the crop plants, and ultimately whatever amount of water is needed will be given to the plant. Then you are having drip irrigation system, that means drop by drop, one by one a drop will be given, and again you can see this in Aksharvadi. Both these systems are available and these are well known. I think you might have already studied in your lower standards. In class 8 I have only taught, so I remember. Modern system being encouraged in Maharashtra, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, Orissa and Tamil Nadu for fruit crops. Fertigation is an innovative fertigation is an innovative method for applying fertilizer through drip irrigation to maximize the productivity of the available water. That means, as we know in drip irrigation, drop by drop the water is going. So what can we do is drop by drop along with the water the fertilizers can be given, and that is called as fertigation. That means irrigation plus fertilizer. Next we are having cropping patterns. I hope you remember we have already done all the 3 cropping patterns, but because it is a part of our reading, we'll go through it. Okay, only maybe 1 or 2 things are new in this, so we will go through this. There are three types of cropping patterns, and in our last lecture, I hope you remember, I have done with you. If we talk about cropping pattern, the very first one is mixed cropping. In mixed cropping, randomly in the same piece of land, different crops are grown in such a way that they can stimulate the growth of each other, and which are generally used for mixed cropping. They are wheat plus gram, cotton plus groundnut, groundnut plus sunflower, ragi plus gram, turmeric plus groundnut. Now how should the selection be done? सबसे पहले तो ऐसी होनी चाहिए कि जिनकी वाटर के नीड्स जो एक दूसरे से टोटली डिफरेंट हो. अगर एक को पोटाशियम चाहिए तो दूसरे को सल्फर चाहिए. ऐसे दो अलग अलग प्लांट्स चूज करने चाहिए कि जिसकी न्यूट्रिएंट रिक्वायरमेंट ग्रोथ के लिए दो अलग अलग एलिमेंट्स हो. वाटर है वो अलग अलग हो. द ड्यूरेशन ऑफ द क्रॉप्स, द रूट पैटर्न्स, बिकॉज इफ both of them are having deep roots, then it is very difficult for both of them to grow. So keeping in mind one thing, the next thing should be selected. What are the things which should be kept in mind? The duration of the crop, the root pattern, the nutrient demands, the growth habit, and the water needs. Let us move further in intercropping. Improved version of traditional mixed cropping, in which two or more crops are grown simultaneously in the same field but for a definite row pattern, it is called as intercropping. It is having the spatial arrangement, that means jagah honi chahiye, plant density, maturity dates of the crops, and plant architecture. How is intercropping done now? इंटरक्रॉपिंग मतलब जैसे मैंने आपको सिखाया था, एक रो किसी और की, दूसरी रो किसी और की. इट इज़ नॉट जनरली नेसेसरी कि एक ही होनी चाहिए. इट कैन बी ओवर हियर सेड दैट इट पैटर्न कैन बी 1:1, 1:2 और 1:3. मतलब एक रो किसी एक प्लांट की, दूसरी दो रो दूसरे प्लांट की. इट डिपेंड्स ऑन द प्लांट. Strip intercropping, growing two or more crops simultaneously in strips wide enough to permit separate crop production using machines. What are the advantages of it? The productivity will increase, it economizes spaces and the time of cultivating, and it will help to maintain soil fertility. Then we are having about mixed cropping and intercropping. If we talk about mixed cropping, then it is aiming to minimize the risk of crop failure. Crop failure hoga nahi. Then seeds of component crops are mixed before sowing, and sowing is done in rows. While over here in intercropping, the productivity per unit area will increase, and seeds of the component crops are not mixed, and sowing is done in rows over here. Next, crop rotation. We have already discussed that crop rotation means for a fixed duration of time, one crop will grow, and after that, its harvesting gets over, and after it's like everything gets done, the land is then cleared. After that, they can sow the next crop after it. So practice of growing different crops on the piece of the land in a pre-planned way. Okay, ऐसे नहीं कि जो मन किया बो दिया. All crops do not require the plant nutrients in the same proportion. सबकी requirement है वो अलग अलग होती है. By growing crops in rotation, the fertility of the soil is utilized more evenly. The soil is not depleted in a particular nutrient. When different crops are grown, the operations concerned with the preparation of soil, manuring, sowing, harvesting, and other operations are spread throughout the year, thereby reducing the work pressure at a particular time. When different crops are grown on the field, one after the another, the yields of product obtained are greater than when the same crop is grown after a year. The incidence of weeds, pest, and disease is reduced. Okay. Next is crop protection management. This was all about the second part, and now we have to talk about crop protection. If we talk about crop protection, then to protect the crop from all the possible disease and ultimately till it is going to the consumer, all these things are coming in crop protection. It is including the eradication of pathogens, weeds, and other organisms that can cause harm to the plants. Pests, they are organisms like insects, rats, mites, weeds, fungi. They can damage and destroy the cultivated plants. Then we are having pathogen, they are disease causing organisms like bacteria, fungi. Then weeds, they are unwanted plants that grow and live at a expense of main crop. Then what are the effective methods to control pest? Chemicals used to kill pests or plants such as insects, fungi, weeds, rats, they are called as pesticides, and they are of many types. Fungicide to kill fungi, weedicides to kill weeds, rodenticides to kill rodents like rats, and nematicides to kill all the nematodes. What are nematodes? You have done a lot in the lesson, that is diversity in living organism. Next, preventive measures should be adopted uh, instead of using pesticides, like use of pet and disease resistant crop, selection of optimum time of cropping, the crop rotation should be done, cleaning the cultivation, summer plowing is necessary, and the seeds which are grown should be healthy. Next, we are having the insect and pest control. Some insects are serious pests of crop plants. They can be eliminated by adding different chemicals. Then you are having weed controls. It can be done in any of the three ways. One is mechanical. Then you are having chemical and biological. Uh, Mechanical means manually either or by any other machines remove the weeds. Removing weeds by harrow, interculture plowing, burning and flooding. These are the ways by which they can be removed. Chemical means use the chemicals. Now which are the chemicals which can be used for removing the weeds? They are herbicides or weedicides, and the example is 2,4-dinitrofuran atrazine. Then you are having biological methods. What is biological method? That means a living organism should be used to destroy the weed. For example, the cassia plant, it is preventing the growth of uh, Parthenium weed. So if it is grown, then ultimately uh, that type of weed will be removed. Herbivores fish feed on the aquatic weeds. Then you are having advantages of biological method. It does not cause pollution. Organisms are harmless to the main crop. And what are the culture methods? Proper seed and bed preparation, timely sowing the seed, intercropping, crop rotation, mixed cropping. These are the ways by which we can protect. Moving further, storage of grain. Yes, grown, whatever things are grown, if at all, they are, they are like, by all the means we are taking all the care and we are making them grow properly. Once we get in our hand, and then the distribution is only left out. Now, till that case, till the time the person is purchasing, that till that time also it needs to be stored. There are many ways by which it can be affected, like insect pests, the humidity, the temperature. All these things are creating a role in destroying the stored grains, and so proper measurements should be taken for the proper growth. So food grains in our country are lost due to improper storage. Which are the factors which are responsible for it now? The very first one is the biotic, that is living insects, rodents, mites. They are responsible. If we talk about insects, then common insects like beetles. There are many names, mites. You can remember one or two, it's enough. Grasshopper, they are ultimately creating a problem. Insects or pests, they will damage or harm the plant by cutting the root, stem, or leaves. They will suck the cell sap. They will bore into the stems and fruits. They form falls and they eat the stored grains. So this is how they can harm the stored grain. If we talk about abiotic factors, that is all the non-living factors which are responsible for this part, then they are temperature, moisture, humidity, material of the container in which grains are stored. These are the ways by which abiotic factors are responsible for the storage. The above mentioned factors, what problem they will create? Infestation of food grains by insects and microorganisms. There will be the degradation in quality. There is loss in the weight, poor germination potential of the grains, discoloration of the product, unpalatable or even toxic food material. Finally, poor marketability and lower profits. Thus, it is essential that loss of food grains during storage is avoided. The attack on food grains by insects and microorganisms is called as infestation, and the general lies in the temperature of the grain and presence of the patches of white powdery material in the bag also indicate infestation of the grains by insects. Presence of the rodents can be detected by the tail holes in the bags or by the excreta they are leaving behind. नेक्स्ट इज प्रिवेंटिव मेजर. ऐसा क्या करना चाहिए कि ये प्रॉब्लम आए ही नहीं. सो फॉर दैट प्रॉपर स्टोरेज शुड बी देयर and it should be dried. Proper hygiene should be there. Improved storage structure should be there. Pests can be controlled by using pesticides. Fumigation is very convenient way by which we can ultimately store the food. Then you are having fumigants. They are volatile chemicals that quickly vaporize, and ultimately the resultant fumes will kill the insects without affecting the grains. Okay, so this is about the part that we have done till just now. I'm going to start animal husbandry, but before I start animal husbandry, I'm giving you 2 minutes time to go through the entire content from page number 70 to page number 74. My dear ones, I just want to say you one thing, that these are the content which are not going to be useful to you even in your higher standards if you are going to opt for biology. Wherever needed, a proper clarification was given. Now these are simply the lessons which generally students are teaching, a reading one. And so I'm giving you 2 minutes time to go through it. Once you go through it, we'll start the topic, which is animal husbandry. Uh, and that is again a very small topic. So you are having 2 minutes time. Go through it. After that, what we will start? Animal husbandry. Exactly 2 minutes you have in your hand. So I hope you have gone through the content. Now let's start on with the next part, which is animal husbandry. What is animal husbandry? It is the science which is dealing with proper scientific management of the farm animals, including their feeding, breeding, weeding, and everything. Animal food, how does it come? First of all, milk, which we get from cow, goat, buffalo, etc. Then eggs, that is from the birds. Meat from fishes, you know. Honey from the honeybees. So these are the main four things which we get. If we talk first about breeding, to obtain animals with the desired characters through breeding, we can develop high milk yielding and high meat yielding cattle. And you have already knowing that different varieties are breeded so that and in a desired way we can get the output from them. Then is feeding, that means proper food should be given to them, proper at proper duration they should be feeded. Then is weeding, that means it concerned with the removal of all the uneconomical animals. Heeding, that means proper care should be taken of them. Most notable effort for the dairy development and production in India is carried out by NDDB, that is National Dairy Development Board, and it is called as Operation Flood. Then they have said about the different table of the animal products, that is what is containing what. You can read it as per your convenience, and it is not at all important for the exam. Now let's move further on the further part, which is white revolution. Just like the revolution came in crop, that is called as green revolution, in the same way in case of milk it is called as white revolution. The crop plants it increased, and the increase in the milk production has been possible by launching the Operation Flood, and that has brought the white revolution in India. The operation involved the use of new and high improved cross breeds of milching animals. uh, Dr. V. Kuren, he is credited by for designing and improving uh, techniques in it, and is also called as the Bapuji, that is father of white revolution, and is founder chairman of National Dairy Development Board. Silver revolution, it is including the tremendous increase in the egg production. And blue means fish revolution. Yaad rakhna, green means plants, white means the milk, silver means egg, and uh, blue means fish. ये आप याद रखना, कोई भी revolution का कभी भी पूछ सकते हैं. Then you are having about the breeds of cow. If we talk about high milk yielding, then they are Gir, Sahiwal, and Red Sindhi. Then you are having dual purpose breeds, that means for milk as well as for the work. Then they are Haryana, Tharpakar, and Dioni. The exotic, that is foreign breeds that have come as Jersey from USA, Brown Swiss from Switzerland, and Holstein from Holland. Now, many milk yielding breeds of cows have been developed in India through crossbreeding of Desi breeds with the exotic breeds, that is Karen Swiss, Sahiwal. They are used. High yield, milk yielding indigenous breeds of buffaloes, they have given that these buffaloes are giving more proportion of milk. Then they are Murrah from Punjab and Haryana, Mehsana from Gujarat, Surti from Gujarat, Neeli from Punjab, and Jafarbadi from Gujarat. Now, cattle like cows, buffaloes, they are normally housed in the sheds. The shed is properly roofed. The floor should be kept clean. The shed should be airy. मतलब जहाँ पे वो रखे जाते हैं वहाँ पे इतना हवा उज्जवल हो જોઈએ. In short, it means like that. Proper sunlight should be there. એ proper જગ્યા હોવી જોઈએ. અમુક બે કેમ આપણે just now we have 6 feet distance. In the same way, there should be some space between two animals. The sheds are provided with feeding passage, and proper clean water drinking arrangement should be done. And whatever excreta is there, it should be properly disposed of. All these things should be taken care of. And how many types of animal farming are there? If we talk about animal farming, then they are cattle farming, that is milk producing, poultry, that is egg yielding, fish, that is meat, and bee farming, that is honey providing bees. If we talk about the cattle farming, then in detail we are having about all the cattle farming and its details. So we are going to discuss only about this four types of animal farming, and then we are going to conclude with the lesson. Cattle farming means what? Okay, farming of cattle, why? Just for getting milk or labor from it. Milk providing animals are cow, buffalo, you already know. For drought, that means for labor, you are having ox, camel. Cows and buffaloes are also used, and generally, bullock is used for labor work. Bullock's milk is rich in fats, proteins, vitamin E, calcium, phosphorus, and it contains low proportion of sodium, potassium, and cholesterol. Then they have given different names and different breeds. If they are drought breeds, then they are strong and such that they can do the labor work. If they are dairy breeds, then they are giving enough proportion of milk and dual purpose, मतलब दोनों ही चीज़ों में काम लगे. Then cattle food is of two types. What they are eating, they don't eat dal bhat, chak rotli or pizza like us. They are eating the roughage or concentrate. If we talk about roughage, then they are rich in fiber content, and if we talk about concentrate, then they are rich in all the types of nutrients. Next, we are having about the diseases of cattle. A healthy animal can be recognized. How can you know that a person is healthy? જો એ lazy feel ના કરતા હોય, કાંઈનામાં કાંઈ symptoms ના હોય, then you feel that the person is lazy. If they are talking properly, if they are eating properly, everything is going on properly, then there is no issue. In the same way, if we talk about cattle, then the cattle are again, if they are properly feeding, the posture is normal, body temperature is definite, pulse, respiration rates are normal, then we can say that they are living healthy. सिम्टम्स ऑफ द डिजीज्ड एनिमल्स, जैसे कि आपको अगर कुछ भी हो तो पता चल जाता है, किसी भी इंसान को हो तो देयर रूटीन गेट्स डिस्टर्ब. ओके, वर्किंग कैपेसिटी रिड्यूसेस. द सेम थिंग्स हैपेंस विद एनिमल्स. Animal stops eating and they become lethargic. They always remain tired and isolated. You don't need to talk like to anyone the same way animals feel. Animals, they shiver with high body temperature, show excessive formation of saliva, and the blisters appear on skin, face, eyes turn red, and running nose. They pass loose dung or colored urine. The lips and ear of the animal droops. If we talk about milk yielding or egg laying capacity of any particular animal, then that reduces drastically. And disease can be of three types. Either it can be parasitic, that means caused by parasites, infectious, and non-infectious. They have talked about different types of disease, like through virus it is foot and mouth disease, through bacteria it is rinderpest, through fungi it is ringworm. All these are the common names which you have studied in your class 8. You don't need to remember now. नेक्स्ट इज प्रिवेंशन एंड कंट्रोल. ऐसा हम क्या करें कि उनको कभी बीमारी नहीं हो. तो हमको जो हमारा ध्यान रखते हैं वो उनका रखने का, अच्छे से खाने का, अच्छे से पीने का, अच्छे से रोज नहाने का, एंड टेक प्रॉपर केयर. सेम थिंग्स नीड टू बी given to them. Provide proper shelter, ensure their hygiene, periodic screening of the animals should be done, and proper diet should be given, proper medicine should be given, hygienic handling should be done, and compulsory they should be vaccinated. So all the things which we are doing, they should be followed in the same case of the animals. Moving on, the next type of animal farming, that is the poultry farming. You already know that means poultry farming is dealing with the production of eggs and meat. The best source that is providing protein and fats. Egg laying poultry, it is called as layer, or and the poultry that is raised for meat, that is called as broiler. Here they have given the names of various types of breeds of hen. They are Asl, Gagus, Basara, Brahma, and Cochin. From various different places they are. We don't need to remember any one of them. Exotic breeds which are caused in India, they are White Leghorn, Rhode Island, then Black Minorca, Plymouth, Light Sussex, and Silver Revolution, as we have already talked that it is dealing with the increase in the egg producing at large scale. Then improvement in the poultry breeds. How can they be improved now? By developing new varieties, they have following advantages. That is, the number of quality of chicks are increased, summer adaptation capacity, low maintenance requirement, the dwarf broilers present for commercial chick production. Then we are having the poultry disease. These are birds that suffer from many diseases which are caused by bacteria, fungi, virus. They can be prevented by proper cleaning, sanitation, or spraying of disinfectants. What are the advantages? Investment involved in small, area required is very small. The maintenance is easy, returns are quick, and if they are egg laying, they are called as egg layer, and if they are meat giving, then they are called as broiler. Moving on, the next part, which is fish farming, that is pisciculture. It is the cheap source of animal protein for human foods. Various ways to obtain fishes are capture fishing from natural resources, culture fishing, that is fish farming in water fishes, ponds, lakes, marine fishes. Our fresh water edible fish will include catch fish such as valgo, maestus, etc. And in India, major crabs are catla, rohu, and mrigal. Exotic varieties such as silver carp and grass carp. Catla is the fastest growing carp of for great economic significance. Then marine, you are knowing that India is blessed by the sea. That is India's marine fishery. It is more than 7,500 kilometers coastline. The popular marine fish varieties are pomfret, tuna, and Bombay duck. You can remember any one. Yield are increased by locating large schools or of fish in the open area by using the satellites. That means by using satellites, they can find out majorly where is more of fish so that they can catch it from there. This includes the fin fishes like mullets, bhetki, pearl spots, shellfish, prawns, mussels, and oysters. Marine fish culture is called as mariculture. Inland fisheries, that means fresh water resources में जो भी fishes होती हैं वो कैटला उसमें वो ऐसा होता है in that कि fishes are such that they don't compete with each other. One is if feeding at the top, one will feed at the bottom, one will feed in the intermediate part. So in that way they are keeping so that they will not compete with each other. So here the catless are surface feeders, rohu in the middle zone, and mrigals and common carps, they are feeding the weeds. So they will not fight with each other, and in that case inland fisheries is done. Then comes bee farming, that is apiculture, that is rearing of bees for obtaining honey, that is called as apiculture. Different varieties of bees are used for honey, and Apis indica, it is called as Indian bee, Apis um, dorsata, that is rock bee, Apis florae, that is little bee, and Apis mellifera, that is domesticated in India to increase the high yield of honey. And ultimately they get good money from that. So with this we complete with our entire syllabus, and as I'm saying, the last two lessons which we did are not so important for your exams, and even they are the reading lessons, so we have completed it by reading and by understanding it. As far as examination is concerned, these lessons are having less importance, and with this I wind up with today's content and as well as the entire syllabus of science. And that's all for today. Thank you so much for listening to me, and have a very good day. That's all. Bye bye.